Most over 50 stretch their back to ease the ache, and the ache stays. 8 hours of sitting does its damage upstream, where back stretching never reaches. 5 minutes tonight unwinds most of it, and one move does work, the other two cannot. Here is the redirect almost no one over 50 has heard. The muscle making your low back hurt is not in your back at all. It is at the front of your hip, and it has been pulling on your spine for years. One thing to keep in mind, nothing here replaces a real conversation with your doctor. This is general guidance for you to take into that conversation. Picture what happens to a body across a normal working day. When you sit down, the muscles at the front of each hip, the hip flexors, settle into a shortened position. They stay shortened for as long as you stay seated. After 50, the tissues in those muscles lose some of their elastic responsiveness. They do not snap back to a neutral length the moment you stand up, the way they did at 30. They stay short, and short hip flexors at the front of the pelvis quietly tilt the pelvis forward, which presses the lower vertebrae of the spine together. The pain you feel in your low back when you stand up from the chair is, for most adults over 50, not coming from your back muscles at all. It is the hip flexors pulling the pelvis forward and pinching the spine they are anchored to. That is one piece of the chain. The second piece is the disc. The cushions between the vertebrae of your lower spine carry more pressure when you sit than when you stand, meaningfully more. 8 hours of sustained pressure leaves those discs slightly more compressed at the end of the day than they were at the start. When you stand up, gravity does not undo the compression on its own. Your back stays slightly stiffer, slightly more sensitive, and slightly less willing to move through its full range for the rest of the evening. The third piece is the part most people miss entirely. Your gluteal muscles, the large muscles at the back of your hips, are designed to fire whenever your hip extends, helping to hold your pelvis level and to power every step. When you sit on those muscles for 8 hours a day, they get a strong signal that says, "Not needed right now." After enough years of that signal, they stop firing properly, even when you do stand up. Movement scientists call it gluteal amnesia, and when the glutes are not firing, the small muscles of the lower back take over the work they were never built to do, which is exactly the recipe for chronic low back ache. 3 pieces stacked together, hip flexors tight at the front, discs compressed in the middle, glutes quiet at the back. The ache you have been calling just sitting too much is downstream of all of them. On to the moves themselves. The whole sequence takes about 5 minutes, fits at the end of your workday or right before bed, requires no equipment beyond a couch and a small patch of floor, and asks nothing of your back that it is not ready to give. Each move targets one of the 3 pieces of the chain. Done in order, they undo most of what 8 hours of sitting just did. Sharp pain at any point means stop. Ease back. Try the easier version of the move. And if anything reproduces an injury or sends pain down a leg, that is a conversation with your doctor before you continue. Otherwise, here is the sequence. Begin with the move that targets the source, the couch stretch. Kneel on the floor with your back to a couch or sturdy chair. Place the top of your back foot on the couch behind you, with your shin running up the front of the cushion. Bring your front foot flat on the floor, knee over ankle. Now do the small thing that decides whether this move works or wastes your time. Gently tuck your pelvis underneath you and softly squeeze the glute on your front leg. That tuck is what lengthens the hip flexor on the back leg. Without it, the move barely does anything and the low back takes the load instead. Hold for 90 seconds, then switch sides. What you should feel: a deep, satisfying stretch across the front of the back hip and thigh. What you should not feel: any sharp pulling in your low back. If your back grumbles, ease the tuck, soften the squeeze, and shorten the range. If the couch position is not workable for your knee or your hips, do the same move with your back foot flat on the floor in a half-kneeling lunge. Easier on the knee, almost as effective. The next part is the one that decides whether the relief lasts an hour or carries you through to tomorrow morning. but it only works if the first move actually opened the hip. Take the 90 seconds per side, do not rush. Next, move to the floor for supported cat-cow, the second move and the one that addresses the compressed disc. Come onto your hands and knees, hands directly under your shoulders, knees directly under your hips. Slowly round your spine upward toward the ceiling, letting your head drop gently. That is the cat. Then slowly reverse, dropping your belly toward the floor and lifting your chest and tailbone. That is the cow. Move with your breath, not against it. Inhale on the cow, exhale on the cat. 8 to 10 slow cycles is enough. What you should feel: a gentle wave of decompression traveling up and down your spine, the way it feels when you finally yawn and stretch in the morning. What you should not feel: any pinching, any sharp catch, any place where the spine refuses to move. If the floor is hard on your wrists or knees, place your forearms on the seat of a couch or sturdy chair instead, and do the same wave from there. Finish with the glute bridge with a pause. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor about hip distance apart. Press through your heels and lift your hips toward the ceiling, squeezing the glutes at the top. Hold the squeeze for 5 seconds. Lower slowly. Repeat 8 to 10 times. The pause is what wakes the gluteal muscles back up after a day of being sat on. Drive the lift through your heels. Keep your ribs gently down so your back does not arch, and let the work happen in the back of your hips. What you should feel: the glutes doing real work, sometimes a little surprising after a full day in a chair. What you should not feel: your low back gripping or taking over the lift. If it does, lower the height of the bridge until the glutes can carry the work on their own. Here's what that means for you. Done together, couch stretch, supported cat-cow, glute bridge with pause. That is roughly 5 minutes from start to finish. The hip flexors lengthen back toward neutral. The lumbar spine decompresses. The glutes get the wake-up signal they have not received in years. Most adults over 50 notice the difference in the first morning after the very first session. Getting out of bed feels less stiff, the first few steps less guarded, the first hour of the day less spent waiting for the back to loosen. Quick pause before the bonus piece. Try the sequence tonight before bed, and tomorrow, when you get out of bed in the morning, come back and tell me in the comments how your back felt in those first 30 seconds on your feet. Those next morning reports from this audience tell me more about what is actually working than any study does, and they shape the next video. Subscribe if you want more of these breakdowns landing in your feed. That is the one signal that makes it happen. There is one add-on worth knowing about: the once-a-week move that locks in the gains the daily sequence is building. The wall sit. Held for 90 seconds, once a week. Stand with your back flat against a wall, feet about 2 feet out from the wall, and slowly slide down until your thighs are roughly parallel to the floor, or as close to parallel as feels comfortable without your knees complaining. Hold. 90 seconds is the target. If your first attempt is 30 seconds, that is perfectly fine. Build to 90 over a few weeks. What this does is teach the gluteal and quadriceps muscles to hold the pelvis stable under sustained load, the exact pattern your spine relies on through every hour of sitting and every step of walking. Once a week is the dose. More is not better here. The daily sequence does the daily work, and the wall sit reinforces the structural side a single time. Let's bring that back to real life. Remember the line from the start about one move doing work the other two cannot? It is the couch stretch. The hip flexor release is the move that addresses the actual source of the chain, the part of the body that has been pulling the spine out of position all day. The cat-cow eases what is already compressed. The glute bridge wakes up what has gone quiet, but the couch stretch is what stops the pulling in the first place. If you have time for only one of the 3 moves on a given evening, that is the one to keep. So, where does that leave you? 5 minutes tonight. Couch stretch, 90 seconds per side with the pelvic tuck. Supported cat-cow, 8 to 10 slow cycles. Glute bridge with pause. 8 to 10 reps with a 5-second hold at the top. The wall sit added in once a week, 90 seconds. Sharp pain stops the move. Easier modifications work just as well. The body responds quickly to the right inputs after 50, quicker than most people expect, and a back that has been aching for years can soften within a single week of the right sequence. Talk to your doctor before adjusting anything, and I'll be back with you soon.